something warm in my cup, wrap around, bundle me up, thinking about old man Windsor.
Here I say goodbye to Darla and to civilization for a few days, I take it, probably. This morning I left Bergen on the train, and it took about an hour to get here, and did some planning, and now I'm back on my way after almost 2 weeks. I'm a lot smarter, a lot wiser after 2 weeks of travelling through Norway now, and hopefully this new phase of the adventure will bring about some possibility of being able to live out here in the rain for an extended period of time. So, well, I've only just started, so we'll see how things go. After a few hours of walking up the country road, it's a fairly steep road actually, I found that it was more of a canyon than I was walking up, and when you're in a canyon it's very hard to find level ground to build a base camp of some sort. So it took quite a lot of climbing up and down hills and looking around until I found this place, which I'm actually quite satisfied with, considering the terrain that I've had to deal with. It's the best till now, and it will have to do at least for today. As you can see, it's quite a sheltered spot. Like, you've got trees on one side, and then you got these cliffs up here. There's water dripping though down from these rocks, so I'm going to have to think about what to do with that. And also, it's only been raining just slightly at the moment, but I've got to imagine what this place would be like during a downpour, which I've had a lot of experience with now. So the idea was to sleep on this flat bit down here, but if there was a downpour, this would be a pool of water and a river running along it, and there'd probably be water cascading off these rocks. So when I'm constructing my shelter, I'll have to take those aspects into consideration.
Put me something warm in my cup, wrap around, bundle me up, thinking about old man Windsor. Another year has flown by, out with holiday dresses and ties, gussing up on display, lit up and tucked away. Goblins, ghosts, carols too, ciders, eggnog, homemade brew.
It is now the fourth day of me going back out in the rain and hoping to make a base camp and settle in and see how I could make myself comfortable out here. But today I feel that things are kind of getting out of hand again, and it's been raining every day, and I made real progress, and it's such a shame. I've found a good spot, and I believe that I had all these plans, and I started splitting wood and making benches here, and I need this shelter. This is my poncho, or what's left of it. That I was going to rig up very nicely to make a nice comfortable sitting area for the fire and everything, and to tweak my sleeping shelter, which I've been tweaking every day to stop moisture from getting in and so on and so forth. But after last night's wind and all the terrible rain I'm having at the moment, I'm soaked through. I've been wet every day, and there's no sign that it's going to let up. And the thing is, my sleeping bag, it's all up. It all comes down to the sleeping bag. I started out 4 days ago with a dry sleeping bag, nice and warm, and of course with every night it gets wet again, like from water dripping, condensation, water blowing in from the sides. And then with every day though, yeah, it gets wet, and then I try to dry it out however I can. I had this thing hanging up in front of the fire, and like I was trying to dry it out like that, and you dry it out a little bit, your body dries it out a little bit. But with every day I've noticed the bag is getting wetter and wetter, and last night it got very much wetter than previous nights, and if there's no chance of drying it out today, and if I have to use that sleeping bag tonight, it's going to get even wetter, and to the stage where I think if it keeps raining, I've just got no choice. I can't stay out here with a wet sleeping bag. That's just out of the question. It's not life-threatening, but that's just going a bit too far. This is part of how I've been keeping warm every day, just chopping and processing wood. This has been my main resource area for this time, but it's there's not much stuff left here now. I'm splitting a log down there, and if you look up there, what a lovely sight. Look at those beautiful waterfalls coming down. Yeah, well, usually there isn't water running down there. It's just purely from the rain from last night. There's a slight lull at the moment. It's only drizzling now, so I'm just out trying to get warm, doing a bit of chopping, and anyway, it's a bit more about my area. So we can call this the resource area, and then it really is a nice spot. I mean, if you come along here, you get into this. Well, here's more evidence of last night's rain. Look at it coming down. Oh God. Anyway, yeah, you come into this, even though it's very, very blustery and windy, at least this area here is quite sheltered. And we'll take a slight peek in there. This is how I've been trying to kind of stop the rain from getting in and everything, and I've built a platform to sleep on there, and that's my very makeshift, after it got blown down last night, cover for the fire where I'm trying to keep going, which is a full-time occupation out here. The only reason that I've been able to stick it out in these conditions at all is it all hinges around building a functional fire that you can actually get warm from and dry things out on. And in these situations, well, I can guarantee that all the wood that I've been using has been soaked all the way through. So it's actually quite a real art form to get a fire this warm going in these sort of conditions. And it takes a lot of patience and a lot of practice, but once you do get it going, it's very rewarding, and it's about the only thing that you have really to keep you company and warm and so forth. So basically the way I do it is you'll get the biggest logs that you have, like they'll be sodden through, and you first of all, if you can, you here I've got rocks as a base, so the water, I'm getting hot here, so the water from underneath doesn't put it out. So you'd put your big log, wet log, before you build the fire, you put big wet logs underneath, the biggest logs that you have. I like it to do it in a parallel form, and then you put smaller and smaller wet logs on top, and then as it gets about, a few logs high, you'd start to put some more combustible, like smaller stuff. You lay that down on top of that, and then if you have accessible lots of birch bark, you put as a base to build your actual fire on. That'll give it a bit of a boost, and then you've got this kind of big stacked log heap, and then you get the most combustible stuff that you can find. In my particular case, did you hear that snap? This is these spruce trees here. The dead branches, not the ones that are on the ground, but the ones that are still on the trees, the dead ones. And these things, they've got a lot of sap in them, and they burn very well, so they can be used as a base to get the fire started with. And then of course I'd use my standard birch bark to actually light it with. It has to be dry. The wet birch bark here just doesn't want to burn. So you actually start burning the fire from the top, and then then it will slowly form coals, and they will start to dry the wet logs underneath. And then what you'll end up with slowly over a long time is these you know, what used to be one of the big logs, you have these ends, and that's basically what's causing the heat here. So it's all this process. If you want to boost it up, you know, I'll just poke in the odd spruce branch here just to give it a bit more flame, you know, if need be. And well, this sort of thing can be done indefinitely, but it's high maintenance. Well, most of the day has gone now. The rain hasn't let up, and there's been no chance of drying out the sleeping bag. So even if the sun came out now, there just wouldn't be enough time. And it's if I have another rainy and blustery and windy night like last night, it's just not worth continuing. I've been in some really hard spots, but I've always finished every journey that I've started almost every time with time to spare. And on this one, looks like this one got me. Only 16 days into my 30-day plan. It's what can I say? I don't know what to put it down to. You could say it's bad planning. But if it comes to planning, I think that nothing, I've been thinking about this a lot, there's nothing I can think, if I had to do it all over again and I knew the weather was going to be like this, I can't imagine what I could do to be able to actually fill out the plan that I had in the first place. My plan initially was very well thought out. I mean, I spent a lot of time planning it, and what the hell's, something's boiling over there. I'm actually making rice for my journey back. It's like I planned. I knew the weather was going to be bad, but I was planning for something like 3 out of 5 days of rain, which to me seemed like a lot, and also to the weather statistically that looked about right. 3 days of rain out of 5 wouldn't be comfortable, but it would be fine. It would be just enough to regroup every time and to dry some things out and to have a grip on your situation. With this rain, incessant, non-stop, every day, every night, is simply, it's just too overbearing. And actually I'm speaking now during the daytime, not to mention like what I go through at night time. At night time, with a tent like that, with the tarpaulin, you have no idea when the wind is blowing and the rain coming down, how loud it is. Just the oppressive sound and the sound of all the rain and the wind beating down on you is all night, and the whole thing's just flapping around, water spraying everywhere. You know you're getting wet, and you're afraid that at some stage, you know, some part of the tent will fail and fly off and leave you exposed. You're in constant fear of that every night. And the psychological thing, you know, it really does. It really grinds away at you. And sure, I could stay longer, but I just don't see any point. I don't see myself as a survivalist. There was a survivalist element planned in this actual trek, but it was more about being able to use resources at your disposal to help go a further distance on a trek without being supported, rather than just like trying to barely survive. You know, it wasn't meant to be, never meant to be like that, and I don't. Well, you know, there'll be a lot to reflect on, well, yeah, we'll see. The plan now is to, once I get everything together, I'll hike back down to Darla, the township. There's a train station there. I know there in the bathroom, it's got a nice warm waiting room. I can change back to my travelling clothes in the bathroom and sit down completely dry in the waiting room and start getting on the internet and just finding out options of timetables and flights back. I'm going to have to cancel my original plans, I think. So yeah, there'll be some planning. There's still nothing's 100% yet where I'm going, what I'm doing, but it looks like I'll be heading slowly towards Oslo regardless. And one thing for sure, if it's raining, I'm not going back out. That's it. It's enough. I don't think I'd ever say.
This is why I'm getting out of here.
On my way down.
What a world. I have no regrets about my decision to go down now at all. It just doesn't look like it's going to stop, and just the thought of spending another night like this in the tent, in the shelter, it just, oh man, all I can say is I don't care what I do as long as I don't have to spend a night at that shelter this sort of weather. In Darla station now, where it's nice and warm and cozy and dry mainly. I spent about an hour in the disabled toilets, you know, bringing my clothes out, putting on my new dry clothes and whatever. And now I'm feeling pretty much like a homeless person. I really don't know what to do. I'm just relishing sitting here in the warmth rather than having to sit out there in the cold and wet. And as people pass through, you meet people, and I met a couple of hikers who are up around the same area where I was, and they're young people. They had their backpacks, they'd been away on the weekend, but they knew they have the locals. They have the network of, they know where the network of cabins is, and you know, they're part of a membership, and they're in the loop of like all these opportunities are available. I have nothing of that. I don't know anything. I mean, yeah, sure, I could diverge away from the initial plan of being unsupported and actually stay in cabins, but that would involve a process of somehow getting information on them, and I've got a whole bag full of wet clothes and stuff, and it's just, I'm not really equipped. I really don't know. I just have to, I don't know. I might catch a train further to Voss, maybe meet some people there, ask some advice or something. But that is slowly edging to Oslo, and worst case scenario, yes, I will catch a train to Oslo and a plane, have to buy a new plane ticket back.
Put me something warm in my cup, wrap around